Dear colleagues, thanks for your patience. I think we have all settled for our last webinar of the local governments and municipal authorities constituency just before, 2 days before the beginning of the 29th Conference of Parties. My name is Yunus Sarıkan, Director of Global Advocacy, and I'm the LGMA focal point. I'm just about to finish our presentation for today. I assume you may be aware that this is a work in progress in many senses. We are just about to finalize our delegation list agenda. And I think this shows that it will be a very dynamic and interesting agenda for us, and under some interesting conditions considering the result of the elections from US and actually also in Europe there are some political agendas moving forward, and I think this is giving us even more the reason why we should be putting a special attention to our offers, how we would like to present our messages to the COP29 and connect to the achievements of the previous efforts. I think we are almost ready to kick off our webinar. Let me finalize my save my file, and then I'm just opening to share my screen. I'm delighted today we will be joining with my colleagues Johanna from ICLEI's events team, who will be taking us through the pavilion agenda, and my colleague Ariel will also take us through the LGMA communications. Today, we are aware there's an ongoing agenda, World Urban Forum in Cairo, so our colleagues from UN Habitat are also covering a lot of sessions there, so bear with us. We also would like to check with Asif from GCOM for the CHAMP updates, but there are clashes. And I also would like to underline that today's webinar will also be repeated in the afternoon for the Western Hemisphere, and the presentation will have its final information by the end of that webinar. So this is not the final position as such. I think we are there. Ariel, I've revised our presentation. I can take through the endorsement. I will continue with the COP29 agenda. I will take to Johanna for the pavilion, and then I will give you back the floor for the communications, if that's okay for you, at least for today's round, so that we are presenting in a consistent manner, but we can revise the agenda for the afternoon session. I hope everyone will be flexible for this, some last minute agendas. Okay, so be ready. The presentation is coming. For many people, I don't think this will be extremely new. Kata, just tell me if you are able to see my screen.
1 second. Yeah, perfect.
Good.
Yeah, great.
So this is a monthly session. This is the 4 days before the beginning of COP29. So we will go through our position, our engagement in the COP29. We have some information on the resources and some reads to take away, to bring with you, which will be also available in our communication material. So let's start. Who is LGMA? For those who are joining new, I haven't checked all our participants. But it's always good to welcome new colleagues joining us. But I'm very delighted that many of the LGMA experts, technical leads, are also here with us. We are running this monthly since years, I think every month, third week, and at approved timing. We also are having our bulletins monthly, and the last bulletin was released on the 31st of October. But tomorrow, Ariel will talk about it, that we will start our curtain raiser issue, and daily bulletins will also come from the Baku on site. 4 phases of LGMA engagement. The Earth Summit era, we were recognized in the Earth Summit and Local Agenda 21, but not in the UNFCCC and Kyoto Protocol. We have our constituency in the first COP, but for the first 10 years we were relatively silent, starting with the redesign of the whole agenda on the way from Bali to Copenhagen. We started our advocacy process under the roadmap, which is recognition, engagement, empowerment. The first results was in Paris Agreement, especially with the recognition of all levels of governments in the Paris Agreement. Our engagement exploded, and both inside and outside UNFCCC, both as constituency with new initiatives, but also with parties. So with Glasgow onwards, at every COP we make some major achievements. Glasgow Climate Pact recognizing multi-level action. In Sharm el-Sheikh, Surge and the first ministerial came up. And in Dubai, we had the UAE consensus, paragraph 161, and CHAMP as an important mechanism for delivering multi-level action, which is already enshrined in the Dubai consensus. Dubai was, of course, a peak moment. It is with the commitments and the design and the road towards Belém COP30. It was a milestone. So it is normal that the next COP is a bit digesting all these elements. So Azerbaijan is, of course, is now taking the lead to make sure the bridge between the two COPs is appropriately working. Usually, you have seen the chronology between two peak COPs. There were 3 or 4 years, but now we are talking about only a one COP, and that's also important because in order to make sure there is a continuity, the Troika has also been operating as a new initiative that bridges the three COP presidencies from Baku, Glasgow, Emirates, and Brazil. We also have enjoyed a lot of dialogue with the presidency, Azerbaijan presidency. We'll touch upon it as well. So throughout the year, we were engaged in the UN and UNFCCC agendas. This year it was particularly very difficult with 3 COPs, one World Urban Forum, and one UN Summit for Future, which is not happening every time. So that was a unique year, and especially the last 3 months of 2024 is very challenging for us. We had our own strategy preparations, LGMA initiatives from Belém to Sao Paulo to which will conclude with Rio. And we are engaging in the G7 and G20 processes. And yesterday we also had the outcomes from G7 and Urban 7 as well. The last 100 days was very, very challenging, and this was already producing so many results. So how we have prepared our position as a 4 page of a key executive summary, which is for especially our leaders when they speak about their efforts. And this was supported by 3 annexes: multi-level action, climate finance, and integrated action. This was a collective effort from a number of partners. So we are delighted to inform as of today that we had received more than 70 partners institutionally as networks or individual cities and regions across the world has endorsed this. We are planning also working with the COP29 presidency as well. Let's remember in Dubai, the flow of the events were a bit different. We started with World Climate Action Summit, Local Climate Action Summit. In the middle, we had the ministerial, and in the second week, we didn't have anything. This year, the flow of mechanics of the events are a bit different. We don't have a climate action summit, local climate action summit, and ministerials at the end of the COPs, the last 2 days. Therefore, our proposal is that on the 11th of November, which Ariel will touch upon it, that this position is officially announced with press release and quotes. But we would like to keep this endorsement mechanism open, especially during the COP. There may be additional endorsements. And then on the 20th of November, when LGMA leaders are interacting in the 20th of November Urbanization Ministerial, we can also refer the additional endorsements. This is also particularly important because inside this position paper, we also are expressing our support to the COP29 True Steel and the COP29 multi-stakeholder action pathways partnership, which includes a reference to the previous efforts and the future collaboration with the Brazil and also the World Environment Forum and World Urban Forums. So if we look at now under these conditions, we are thinking of 6 mechanisms that will be important for us. The World Climate Action is on the first 3 days. There will be an urban side event. So it's different than the Local Climate Action Summit. It will then be parallel to this, there will be negotiations, subsidiary body negotiations. For us as LGMA, the most important one will be on the mitigation work program because it has particular results for cities, buildings, and urban systems. There will be a contact group and there will be some negotiations on the outcomes. It is important that we make sure the proposals are well crafted for our priorities as well. But it is a negotiation among the nations. Therefore, it's important our friendly nations to be actively involved there. The finance will not be just finishing on the first day. There will be several discussions, especially the big number. Also, the non-market approaches will be the topics that we will cover. Then it will feed into several ministerials. Some of them will be in the first week, some of them in the early of the second week. It's focusing on just transition, finance, adaptation, and pre-2030 ambition. In all these, we will have we will have LGMA representatives with 2-minute interventions. The first week will conclude on Sunday, and on that day, there will be the Urban 20 in Rio. And on the day after, there will be G20 outcomes coming up. So when we come to the second week, we will have some more substance in our hands with some more information that is coming from outside. And this will feed to all on the COP29 ministerial on urbanization. I am happy to inform you that according to all the information collected through the LGMA partners, we are talking about 100 plus political leaders, individual leaders, that will be present in Baku from throughout the 2 weeks. Majority of them are coming in the second week, but there is a lot of delegations on the first week as well. We have already made this available, and this will be shared after these webinars internally by email. But the final revised list will also be available on our website starting from tomorrow, and Ariel will focus on that. As we said, we are talking about negotiations, side events, and pavilions. So our LGMA tracking sheet also have compiled this. So we were just reviewing it, and we will also put it in a condensed format so that it's easier to follow up and track who is speaking where or what will be discussed where and when. With this, I think we will now take us through the agenda of our pavilion and the partnership around it, and also we will hear where our pavilion is located. I'll give the floor to Johanna. Johanna, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you, Eunice. Well, we have advanced, as you can see, on our program, and we're very excited to be able to present this today. So this, what you're looking at right now, is something that we're working very hard today to put online, and hopefully we'll have this online for you tomorrow as well to look at on your own time. At the bottom there, you can see our various partners. So co-convening, again, is ICLEI and UN Habitat. We have a few different co-hosts this year that we're very excited about, and our event partners as well. So we do have a very full program. As you're looking through here, all of those green slots are hour-long events that are happening throughout the 2 weeks, and the white slots are just the buffer times in between. Generally, these are only 30 minutes, and this is the time we need to switch from one session to another. So it is a packed program. Yeah, is there anything else you'd like to share on the program, Eunice?
I think we can have this in the Q&A, but I think one of the things we have to understand is in the next slide, maybe you continue on where our pavilion will be located. I'm trying to move the slide. Yeah. And we could also discuss about the logistics of our pavilion while you present. This will also impact the way we will discuss about our pavilion. So you continue with the logistics. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yes, we're very excited to have these maps now. So as you can see, we are in area E of the venue, and our pavilion is labeled as I-15. So if you actually look at the PDF files, I know the resolution here isn't great on the slide, but I'll drop the PDF files in the chat. It's really easy to zoom in and see where you need to go. And I think quite notably, the QR codes at the bottom, there's a digital map that you can use this year, which looks fantastic. You can actually put in where you want to go and it'll give you a little route through the venue. So definitely encourage you all to explore that if you haven't yet. So like I said, I will drop the PDFs in the chat. Our pavilion space is very well located within E, so we're excited to also have some notable neighbors, and I think we can be very happy with the location that we got.
Thank you, Johanna. Yeah, maybe we can start with that last point. Those who are familiar with the COP venues, it's always a challenge. By the time you learn which session is taking place, where the COP is over, that's a very typical case. So, especially in the last couple of years, those who are following the sessions remotely are even more advantageous because they can access to the documents and while we are just going through the corridors. But I think this year we have an advantage because I remember this was also the case in Katowice and also in Warsaw, where the COPs were condensed in compounds where walking distances were minimum. Especially in Warsaw, it was also in a stadium. I think having the COP in a stadium of Baku is also the advantage of that. So if you look at that, traditional access through the security is zone A. Then you go to those meeting rooms, and immediately on the left, you go to the E zone, which is still a ground floor, and there's no stairs. Those who were in Dubai, you may remember some of the pavilions were having upstairs, so it was also a challenge to track them. So all the country delegation pavilions are all in one floor, and it's not in the stadium, it's outside. It's a tent that you will see outside. So it's easy to understand where it is. But if you want to be engaged in the negotiations, then you have to go to the building, the stadium itself, which is, of course, as a walking space needed. But if you look at this, so the E and the left corner layout of E is consistent. So when you enter from the entrance, our pavilion is just at the end of the whole pavilion, which is from one part of it. Of course, it's a bit pity. One can comment on it, but when we look at our neighbors, as Johanna mentioned, it's also an opportunity. What it would look like, that corridor I would look like, and I can definitely say that we have Africa delegation just across us. We have UNDP delegation. We have the joint multinational development banks pavilion just around us, which gives us the feeling that we will still be very dynamic. And I think, Johanna, we should also put in our next presentation the layout of our pavilion. It will be a bit similar to Dubai. It will be in the sense that we have 3 different zones. We will have a networking area, we'll have a meeting room, 2 meeting rooms, and we will have a presentation area with our screens and podium, which is a capacity of 40 to 40 seats, I guess, Johanna, to correct me. And this will be seated in a 100-meter square space. One important difference from previous years is that this year we don't have webcasting or live reporting. Therefore, it's important that the announcement, the outcomes is appropriately managed before or after through our channels, both LGMA but the partners. Maybe I think that is giving me the segue to Ariel, actually, and she will take us how we will navigate. You have seen the negotiations agenda, pavilion agenda, and our delegation. Ariel, what is our mechanics to manage all these complexities? The floor is yours.
I wish I had the answer to that. No, I can give you some answers. Yes, as we move forward towards COP29, I think we've shared into our Google group our communications coordination plan, and we really are both inviting you and also leaning on all of you who are a part of the constituency to help tell our story at COP29. One of the main ways we do that is our LGMA daily mailer. This is a daily newsletter that goes out during COP. We'll have a curtain opener or kind of COP preview this week, but it'll start on the 11th with the daily mailer. And the kinds of content that we're looking for is as follows: analysis of the ongoing negotiations at COP29. This really, I'm looking towards folks who have been working in the working groups, maybe helped to craft the LGMA position, are following the negotiations closely, and can really help to guide the constituency in understanding what is happening as it relates to our position and to our constituency. I know this can sound intimidating, and maybe like for folks who are obviously going to be very busy at COP, we are here to support you on that. So even if it's like you give us a voice message that we can transcribe into some analysis, we would really be happy to take that. So I will be coming out to the folks who've been leading on the working groups, asking for this, especially as the negotiations move on in the second week. But I wanted to highlight that as one of the things that we're really looking for. Sorry, we can go back to that slide that we were just on there. Then all of your organizations, of course, are going to have important announcements, are going to be releasing reports, are going to be joining up in important partnerships that we want to be highlighting to really make it clear that the constituency is engaged. If we can go back to that slide that has that summary, that would be great. We want to highlight all of this in the bulletin. We want to help get this out to the constituency and beyond. So please do share that with us. We've made a web page that I'm going to put into the chat after this that has the all of the directions on how to submit your content. So feel free to refer to that web page, and also please share this with your comms leads if you are not the person leading on comms at your organization. We also last year had an LGMA COP28 announcements page. We'll do that again this year, summarizing all of the most important announcements from the constituency, so that we have a record of that on the LGMA website. So in a moment, I'll share that web page. We can go to the next slide. So there's two other opportunities for your organizations. We're really skipping around here. We can go to the press release page. That would be great. So the press release page, the press release is another opportunity for your organization to contribute your position within the constituency. So we invite everyone who's a part of the constituency to submit a quote from your leadership. You can choose whether you want that to be your political leadership or your staff leadership or management leadership, but basically this will take on a similar form to the press release that opened COP28 last year, and again, it's just an opportunity for individual organization, for us to relate what our main goals as a constituency are, but then of course to individual organizations to express their own kind of point of view within the constituency. So that is going to be, we'll share the press release draft today, and then you'll be invited to provide the quotes, and if you'd like, your organization's boilerplate information at the end of that press release. Then the final thing right now, there will obviously be many other opportunities during COP, but right now one of the things that we are planning is our COP29 outcome statement. That was another thing that we did last year. That I think was very successful in terms of really capturing, as a constituency, how we were reacted, how we reacted to the outcomes of the climate conference. And so we want to have that again this year. There's sort of two asks there. One, again, is the quotes. You'll be invited to add that. But we also will need help crafting that. And so, of course, to those of you, again, who are closely following all of the developments at COP, we will be asking for all stakeholders to contribute to that outcome statement to help us shape what the constituency kind of wants to be our reaction to what happens at COP. So the release date, we'll aim for that of having a goal of one day or after. So we'll sort of begin to draft that towards the beginning of the second week, so that we at least have the kind of skeleton of it, and then the kind of specifics will come in as we as those things develop, and obviously with the actual negotiated outcomes at the end. That being said, we are anticipating perhaps some reactive communications campaigns during the second week, particularly as the drafts of the negotiated outcomes start to come out, that we'll want to mobilize as a constituency to have a kind of unified reaction or call to action to specific to the parties based on what the negotiated outcomes drafts statements are. So those are kind of our four main engagements. Obviously, there's a lot of kind of parts of that in there. But again, I would say, please think of us as your partners here. And if you do have communications resources on the ground that you would like to connect us with, we are definitely, would love to be in touch with your communications counterparts if you are not that person. So I will drop the email, the webpage that lists all of this and how to contribute, and happy to answer any questions as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Ariel, and all the comms working group and colleagues. I have just recapping the previous information. The list of 100 are only the political leads, but we are expecting around 100 plus LGMA experts and staff and technical colleagues who have been running this process for months and months, which are not included in this list. So that's the technical people. So we will also release this list. So we will see who will be on site, especially in terms of coordination of our dialogues and collaboration on site, but also remotely. And I'm very happy Ariel also will be joining us in the second week. You may have noticed that we here did not make too much references to the urbanization ministerial. It's still work in progress, especially our colleagues in the UN Habitat are still working day and night, continuing from Cairo. So we will provide more updates on that later on. Of course, this year's flagship was the CHAMP. We are very happy CHAMP has evolved. Really, we have been seeing new endorsements and implementation experiences. I'm very happy that the GCOM is supporting this process with additional webinars. The first one was hosted last week, and the next one will be hosted tomorrow. It's designed for LGMA community, but we are also welcoming other participants. I'm sure my colleagues Amelia are here. Ariel, we can also share the link in the chat box so that additional updates on the mobilization of CHAMP will be discussed here, including an event in the pavilion on the 19th, but also actively supporting the 20th as well. If I would just conclude, you may have noticed for this presentation, we just take it through so that in a bird's eye view, but I would like to keep it like open for discussions so that we can then have it in the next half an hour with additional input. But when you receive the bulletin tomorrow, we are suggesting to include as much as possible some links that will help us, and some of those will also be available on our webpage, and then we'll be discussing with Ariel. What I would take you through in that sense is that the current website of the UNFCCC has improved a lot, which means it's much easier to reach to the information compared to the previous years. So we have a website which is containing all the overview, negotiations, pavilions, and all the stuff. Then there's this schedules, which is there an agenda on negotiations or a side event? There is an overview of negotiations. For example, this document doesn't include COP29 Urban and Climate Ministerial because it's a special event of the presidency. Therefore, when you read some of those documents, don't be surprised that when you don't see the information that you look for, you have to be aware of where are you looking, which file are you looking on. There is an important observers handbook released by the Climate and Observers Liaison Team. It's shortly COOL. This is the information that is communicating to all the designated focal points of institutions. You will also see information about LGMA. it's always good to keep this because there are certain rules that every observer has to abide by in terms of not to violate the UN principles, especially in the blue zone. You have to respect the sovereignty, you have to respect institutional identity. There are several several points that you should take into account when you are making demonstration or any activities like that. They are all available in this handbook. You are aware in the COP atmosphere, the contact groups, which is sometimes it's not accessible by the observers like us, or any additional change of the rooms are always announced in a daily calendar, and this is updated even hourly. And there's also a special website for that. The venue map, the pavilions map, as you have seen, you have heard from Joanna, is available, and we would like to keep it so that you can all contain them in your file. We also have gone through what are the information sources that we can think about that is relevant when our leaders are engaging or experts are engaging. The latest 3 degrees report, the biodiversity updates, city climate finance report, the urban components of the NDCs, the SDG localization that was prepared by UNDESA, the Daring Cities and Town Hall COPs, the World Cities Report, which is being released or already released yesterday, which will also be an agenda in the pavilion on the 21st, and the World Assembly High-Level Political Forum, which focused on SDG 12, SDG 13 on climate, which is also prepared by LGMA. Constitution is also available so that we will be able to download this as appropriate. But of course, there are plenty of other resources that will be available. I don't want to go into the details of the biodiversity COP, but one thing that we are very, very happy that when Colombia hosted this COP, it was a challenge for everyone logistically and politically, but the 8th summit has turned out into be an impressive outcome for the local and subnational community. It was in the plenary, it was during the off day, the Saturday, but it was contained with so many updates from the parties, secretariat, and numerous announcements with 1,400 participants. So we will also share this link in our documentation as well. But the important thing is that there are several outcomes, such as the new biodiversity fund, which is receiving inputs from subnationals like Quebec, the indigenous community having a subsidiary body for biodiversity, which is elevating their engagement. The peace declaration from Colombia, which we as LGMA have always said that it has to connect to the COP29 truce deal. These are several interesting points that feeds into the Baku. And of course, the leadership from Colombia, Susana Mohammed, who has been a former Environment Secretary of Bogota, and the new Environment Minister of Colombia, has been very sensitive on bridging nature to climate, and as well as bringing local and regional governments into the process, multi-level action. She was very powerful in our summit in Cali, and we will continue this in our discussions in Baku and in Riyadh as well, which is the last UN meeting of the year, desertification COP16 in Riyadh, with including a Mayors Forum on the 6th of December to be organized in collaboration with UNCCD, UN Habitat, UCLG, and ICLE as the LGMA partners and the Global Task Force partners. So I think this is covering more or less our agenda. Obviously, we will also make sure that, especially when you see this domestic progress at the national level from US, the European Commission, there are rumors even the future of the government in Germany is being questioned today. So the climate action is never limited to UN. And it's even more important to elevate bottom-up engagement through our town hall COPs, through our champion engagement. So this is becoming even more powerful, and that will also be the topic we will discuss throughout the year, throughout the COP as well. I think I am giving a break for our discussion for today, at least the presentation today. I'm now checking whether we would have any colleagues, if they would like to intervene. It could be among those partners who have been in the working groups of LGMA. I'm just checking whether we have colleagues, because Leah said that she wanted to join, Leah from UN Habitat. I'm not sure whether she managed to come in.
No, no, she's not
Not yet,
here.
not yet. But we have colleagues from ICLE's biodiversity team who could speak about the Kali. We have colleagues from UCLG, Amelia from GCOM, our colleagues who are also leading different topics like just transition and the loss and damage response fund. So we can invite you to raise your hand and interact. And if not, we can go back to the topics that we did not touch during the presentation. So this is now an open session of our webinar.
Yunus, maybe while we wait, there's two questions in the Q&A box from Teresa Garcia and Tatiana Saraseko. The first question is, where's the Urban Side event on 13th of November taking place? You're muted. I don't know why. Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go.
So there are two questions. Thanks, Katja.
Yeah.
One from Teresa on the venue for Urban Side event on the 13th of November. And the second question comes from Tatiana. How can we get in touch with the working groups? For the first one, the World Climate Action Summit has its own website. So there will be leader statement throughout the plenary on the 12th of November, starting from lunchtime with their family photo and then going forward. Then there is this the summit side events. There are 5 or 6 of them. And then there are high-level side events, which means the high-level side events are the ones who are discussing with the presence of at least a leader or supported by a party. So urban side event is hosted by COP29 presidency and UN Habitat. It is one of the meeting rooms of which means it is inside the stadium, as far as I know. And it will be at 11:45. I think it will be a 45-minute session. And according to the latest information, Teresa, it's important for you. The president of the Committee of the Regions has confirmed to be invited. We have communicated COP29 president and UN Habitat several LGMA representatives' names, and they are considering this. A number of them have already received their invitations. And Committee of the Regions president is one of them. This will be at 11:45, and if you go to the agenda of the pavilion, just for you to know, let's remember the sequence. 11th of November, official opening. We will have the plenary intervention of LGMA. We will not have an event on the 11th November. I mean, not a pavilion event as such. Official negotiations will start. The contact groups will be announced. We will follow especially those like mitigation work program. On the 12th of November, we will have the pavilion high-level opening at 10 a.m. with the partners, and that will also be an opportunity where we will announce or release the press release plus the LGMA position. Then we will continue with the pavilion with a number of side events and even a reception. On the 13th of, so during the lunchtime onwards on the Tuesday, the Leaders Summit will start. So the access to the Leaders Summit will have some its limitations, obviously. On the 13th of November morning at 10 a.m., we will have the LGMA response to COP29 and the World Climate Action Summit. This means any debate that is taking place at the leaders level, we will also have a debate at the local and subnational leaders at our pavilion. That was exactly the reason why we have created our space, that we can comfortably speak. I'm very happy that we have received confirmations from a number of leaders like Committee of the Regions President, Mayor of Istanbul, Mayor of Tirana, Mayor of Tokyo, as well as some national leaders from different parts of the world. And we will be very delighted that this will also set the scene for us. And then immediately after this finishes, there will be a 45-minute break, which gives us the chance that we can move to this event. Hopefully it will be open. There are some registration, but I'm not sure how it's functioning. But meanwhile, the pavilion agenda will continue. On that day, on Tuesday evening, we will have the reception from Scotland. The first day, or the Tuesday, we will have the reception from Saitama. And then we will continue the rest of the events throughout the week. The question from Tatiana, we have working groups. The list is not available in this presentation. It's available. We would recommend you reach out to our LGMA at icle.org in order to demonstrate your interest, and then we can address you to the right colleagues. But be aware, it may be possible that not every member of the working group may be present in person. And as far as we know, we do not have a specially scheduled meetings of the working groups, but there will be several events. For example, UCLG colleagues on Monday, 18th of November, will host the session on loss and damage. That will be one of the results of the working group as well. So different members of the working group will be engaged in different capacities. So there will be more opportunities. So please reach out lgma@iclay.org, and then we can connect you to the right colleagues. I'm just checking if there are any other colleagues who would like to. You can also share updates from your delegations, your preparations that we should be aware of. Any questions, remarks could also be answered here. Um, for example, we will also be tracking some of the other pavilions. There is, as I said, there is a PDF list, but each of the pavilions have their own websites. One friendly pavilion for us is obviously the construction, buildings and construction and cooling pavilion led by UNEP. There's also a lot of interactions there. There's water pavilion where ICLA is supporting. There's ocean pavilion. There's I don't know how many others are secured this year. We definitely have a parliamentarians pavilion led by Globe, which is our sister constituency. Malini Mehra, who is both a member of LGMA because of her relation to London Climate Action Week, but also in her coordination function as the Globe parliamentary group. They are also very active this year. You may remember the COP29 MAP initiative also refers to the endorsement by parliamentarians this year. That's very good for us because we were saying that multi-level action also includes dialogue with the legislative members at the local, subnational, and national level. So municipal councillors who are not the mayors but still scrutinizing or reflecting contributions to the executive bodies, which is the mayors and the mayors' administrations, or regional parliaments or regional governments, regional councils and parliaments. Their members are also part of this multi-level mechanisms, and also the parliamentarians pavilion as well. We are aware several of our LGMA leaders are senators or councillors who may not be necessarily the executive body representatives. So that's an important group of constituency, and we are very happy with Globe. We are having very fruitful dialogues. They're also having a pavilion inside the blue zone, and we will have cross fertilization of our agendas and delegations, I assume. I'm not sure whether Malini is in the call today. Not now, but Malini has already helped us. For example, she was helping us in the Baku Climate Action Week, which was a legacy from the COP in Baku. So that will also be a nice opportunity to follow up. I don't see additional hands raised. I also don't see questions. I think, Kata, we answered all the questions, isn't it so? Johanna and
Yes.
Ariel, is there anything you would like to complement in terms of the information from Pavilion or comms, Ariel, after all the hearing the response or feedbacks?
Nope. No, I don't think there's anything right now. Yeah, I think certainly if you are on site and are not part of our WhatsApp group, I will put the link to the WhatsApp group in the chat. So please join that. And also maybe one thing that we haven't said yet is we will be filming interviews at the pavilion. So if you have leaders and you're interested in that, please do get in touch, and you'll see our staff on site doing that during COP, so we can also talk there about that.
Of course, we should remember the LGMA daily briefings will continue to be held at 9 a.m. in our pavilion. It's already in the, sorry, I'm going back now. In the calendar of pavilion, you see the LGMA daily briefings. Obviously, on the 20th, we will modify it because the urban climate ministerial is starting from 9 a.m. onwards. So we will, as usual, be demonstrating a strong engagement of the LGMA constituency at that event. That will be at the plenary, and then there will be breakout groups. And we are very happy. Many of the LGMA nominations have received their invitations. We may expect an update in the next couple of days. But these 4 breakout groups, which will have ministers, will also have LGMA representatives. This will be in parallel, and we will also hope to conclude the urbanization ministerial at the pavilion, which will be updated in the calendar view starting from 5 onwards. We will make sure the LGMA community, urban and climate ministerial, will meet at the pavilion, the closing, including a reception that we will celebrate not just the ministerial, but I think 2 weeks of our engagement at COP29 and our commitment towards COP13 Belém. You may expect some announcements that will be coming on that day also in relation to our preparations for COP13 Belém. We are excited that there will be a very strong collaboration, just like we had with the presidencies in the past, with the Brazilian presidency, which is also a very active partner in the Champ coalition. They will also be announcing a couple of updates on that day as well. So there will be this kind of continuities. One important thing, we have invited one of the co-chairs of the mitigation work program to the LGMA briefing on the 14th, which is the middle of the first week, especially to see how we can contribute. But obviously, the contact group will start earlier, so we will still have opportunities to engage. But with Lola Valej, we will have a dialogue on at 9 a.m. on the 14th of November as well at the pavilion during the LGMA daily briefing, so that she can share with us the dynamics that she has observed during the mitigation work program 3rd and 4th dialogue on cities, buildings, and urban systems. Good. I see one more QA. Is that correct? No, we can mark Tatiana's question responded.
Yes.
There are messages coming up. Okay, Ariel has to leave. Good. Thanks, Ariel. She shared the WhatsApp group that you can join. I think we are done for today's webinar. As I said, the presentation, don't take it as complete. We will still update, especially in the afternoon. We do our best that the recording and the presentation link reaches to you in the soonest, and we will be preparing for the LGMA curtain raiser to be released tomorrow, so that these follow each other in a nice consequence. Amelia shared the link to the Champ webinar for LGMA constituency tomorrow at 1:30 CET. You are more than welcome to join, and we thank once again to GCOM for taking the lead and offering this to the LGMA constituency. Yeah, I think we're done. Correct?
Yeah.
We
All
can
questions
announce the
answered.
session is adjourned.
Great.
Have a nice
Thank you,
day,
everyone.
Bye-bye.